when my offspring informed me that I was not invited to his residence for the holiday. I smirked, entered my automobile, and placed a single call. By the start of the year, I had terminated their home loan installments. That was merely the opening of my strategy. Fairness must be established and conceit penalized. You will not believe what I executed thereafter. Prior to moving forward, please follow the broadcast and inform us your location in the remarks. I could prepare my celebrated poultry this season, I remarked, sinking lower into Leo's hide sofa. The recipe, with the old-fashioned breading your mother used to adore. Recall how she would constantly claim it surpassed her grandmother's. Those syllables hovered in the cozy atmosphere between us, blending with the aroma of Serena's pricey vanilla tapers. Leo fidgeted near me, his marital band reflecting the illumination from their 12-foot holiday evergreen. Something in his stance shifted, pectoral muscles tensing as if he was preparing for a collision. Father, unfortunately, you are not invited here for Christmas. Those syllables struck me like a physical punch. Oh, I blinked, convinced I had heard incorrectly. What are you saying? Why would I be excluded? Leo could not look at me, his eyes glued to the stone beverage table. The item I had assisted him in selecting last spring when Serena concluded their previous furnishings were not elegant enough. Serena's parents are arriving, and they would prefer if you were absent. My palms turned icy. They would prefer. It is simply simpler this way, Father. You understand how her relatives feel about customs. They possess their own method of handling things. His volume diminished with every syllable, as though he was contracting within himself. I surveyed the parlor, at the fabric drapes I had funded, when Serena complained regarding seclusion. At the timber, flooring that originated from my secondary loan, at the decorative trim that had exhausted my credit card. Every centimeter of this residence carried my marks, my forfeit, my devotion to my child. Their own method, I echoed slowly. And which method is that, Leo? Iroquois. Father, please do not make this more difficult than it needs to be. Through the kitchen opening, I could spot Serena's fresh mixing appliance. The industrial model she claimed she required for her holiday dessert phase that lasted exactly 3 weeks. $2,000 of my funds resting there, likely utilized twice since October. Where shall I spend Christmas then? The inquiry emerged softer than I intended. Leo's expression shifted. Perhaps you'd premier donut no way maybe visit arrange something. The following weekend. As if Christmas was merely another meeting that could be shifted for convenience. I stood up, my joints aching after 8 years of holding this weight alone. I understand. Father, hold on. But I was already moving toward the exit, passing the family snapshots, where my image became smaller and more distant in every border, past the closet that contained Serena's myriad coats. My hand gripped the handle, firm and chilly under my skin. Son, I remarked without turning around. Informed Serena's parents, I stated, Feliz Navidad. The chilly breeze of the month struck my skin like a blow as I moved toward my vehicle. Behind me, I perceived Leo calling my name once, then the quiet snap of the entrance shutting, definitive and total. I remained in the driver's position for a bit, motor silent, observing the holiday illumination sparkling in the portals of dwellings where I would never be welcome. My cellular device vibrated, likely Leo attempting to fix the situation with hollow oaths and remorse. I did not pick up. Instead, I activated the ignition and navigated into the gloom, abandoning the cozy radiance of the residence I had purchased but would never inhabit. The ventilation system buzzed against the winter chill as I steered through the recognized paths toward my house. South Hills extended around me, every street corner containing recollections of the individual I formerly was. The one who trusted that kin meant everything, who would provide his final cent to witness his son's joy. That individual was a simpleton. I paused at the Crimson Signal on 29th and Grand, observing a youthful parent placing holiday gifts into his vehicle. His offspring pushed their countenances against the pane, respiration clouding the glass with anticipation. Long ago, that had been Leo and myself. Before Serena, before transformed nothing more than a mobile cash machine with bothersome feelings. The figures began spinning through my mind like a malfunctioning gambling device. $2,800 every month. For 5 years, my adding machine had ceased trying to comprehend it last spring when I had eventually tallied the total. $140,000, more funds than Elena and I had gathered for our entire post-work life. Departed, merely departed. I shoved the gas pedal harder than required as the signal turned emerald. The vehicle reacted with a snarl that mirrored my temper. 5th Street. That was the location where I had leveraged my dwelling. Our dwelling, Elena's and mine, to provide their initial payment. The loan representative had observed me with a pity I had not identified at that moment. Mr. Vane, are you certain regarding this? You are risking a significant amount for another person's asset. Another person's asset, not my son's destiny. Not my household safety, another person's asset. Lincoln Street. The institution where I had obtained a second debt when Leo became unemployed 2 seasons ago. Merely brief, father. Just until I regained my position. Serena had stood behind him, a $700 bag hanging over her arm, nodding with fake empathy while internally gauging how much my agony was worth. 0. As it happened, my agony was worth 0 to them. I steered into my path. The one with the fractured stone I could not manage to mend because every extra cent vanished into their flawless residential dream. The entry light pulsed, another task I had been delaying. Within, the dwelling felt empty without Elena's mirth, without the comfort of family meetings that would never occur again. My cellular device rang as I struggled with my keys, the sharp noise echoing off the vacant partitions. Serena's name appeared on the monitor, likely wishing to clarify why I was insufficient for her parents' fragile temperaments. Ideal timing. I had been waiting 5 years to conduct this talk. I picked up on the 4th tone, making her wait just long enough to wonder if I would engage at all. Markus. Serena's voice flowed with deceptive sweetness, the identical tone she employed when requesting me to pay their utility, bill, or estate levies. I heard regarding the small conflict with Leo. Conflict. I rested against my culinary counter, still clad in my coat. I do not believe there is any conflict, Serena. You established your stance quite clearly. See, I recognize this appears blunt, but you must comprehend my parents' view. They are very conventional individuals. They anticipate a specific mood during the festivities. A specific mood, I echoed. And what mood is that? Silence. I could perceive shopping parcels rustling in the rear. Likely spending funds that ought to have been used for their house payment. Funds that were my duty, evidently. Well, they are not accustomed to your style of meal preparation. All that seasoned ethnic food and loud tunes. And truly, Markus, they are schooled individuals. They anticipate dialogues regarding contemporary happenings, books, creativity. You understand? The syllable struck harder than a physical punch. 8 years of holding my tongue, of accepting slights for Leo's benefit. Of acting as though I did not notice the way she observed me, like I was some sort of domestic worker. My style of meal preparation, my volume remained steady, disciplined. You signify the food you consumed every Sunday for 3 seasons, when funds were scarce. The traditional dishes you claimed reminded you of your relative. That was different. We were thankful then, but now, with my parents, now with your parents, you cannot have the commoner shaming you at your elegant dining arrangement. The deceptive sweetness vanished. Do not be theatrical, Markus. This is not about heritage. It is regarding status. My father completed his studies with high honors from Washington State. My mother converses in 4 dialects. They spend the season in the Hamptons. What precisely would you add to the table talk? Tales about flooring tiles. Warmth flooded my torso, but I maintained a steady volume. I established a firm from nothing after your husband's ancestor passed away. I have hired over 50 individuals. I have contributed more in levies than your father earned in his peak season. Wealth is not everything, Markus. Heritage matters. Schooling matters. And truly, Elena grasped her position better than you grasp yours. The connection went silent. She had bypassed it. The boundary I did not even realize was there until she had marched over it in her expensive shoes. What did you state regarding my spouse? I am merely saying she recognized how to fit in better. She did not cause trouble. She grasped that some areas were not intended for her. My grip tightened on the device until my joints turned pale. Elena possessed more dignity in her pinky than your entire lineage will ever have. Oh, stop. She was a domestic worker who was fortunate. At least she had the sense to remain silent regarding it. Serena, my volume sank to a tone I did not recognize. I want you to attend very closely. This talk is finished. We are done acting like kin. You cannot merely, we are finished. I echoed and terminated the call. I placed the device down gently on the surface, my palms remarkably steady. Around me, the kitchen felt altered, smaller but somehow more transparent, as if a burden had been removed from the atmosphere itself. I paced to my station in the corner, retrieved the paper folder I had been avoiding for months. Financial records, loan documents, 5 years of recurring gifts that had drained me while they resided like monarchs. Time to halt the loss. Part 4. The primary choice, terminating the loan. The papers lay across my culinary table like proof at a legal scene. 5 years of financial records, each one displaying the identical recurring gift. $2,800 on the 15th of every month, disappearing from my fund into theirs. A written record of my own lack of wisdom. I retrieved my adding machine and began totaling. I reached for my device, browsed through my names until I discovered the digits for my firm. The electronic guide offered me choices in various tongues. How kind, how helpful to individuals like me. Support staff. This is Sarah. How can I assist you today? I need to terminate a recurring gift, I stated, my volume firmer than it had been in seasons. Certainly, sir. I will require your fund digits and some proof of identity. I provided the figures, watched her input them in the distance. Skilled, prompt. No criticism regarding why a 62-year-old man was stopping installments to what was likely his Child-S loan. I see the gift you are mentioning, Mr. Vane, $2,800 monthly to the bank. Fund ending in 7,423. How long have you been providing this gift? 5 years. The syllables felt harsh. And you wish to terminate it starting now. I surveyed my kitchen at the old tools I could not afford to swap, at the partitions that required color, at the panes that admitted cold breeze, because I had utilized my improvement funds on another's fortress. Starting now, I confirmed, completed. The gift has been terminated. Is there anything else I can assist with today? No, I remarked, startling myself with how pleasing the word felt. No, that is all. I disconnected and sat in the sudden silence of my dwelling. Outside, winter gloom was descending over the city. Holiday lights sparkling in panes where households gathered without terms, without criticism, without the requirement to conceal their identity. For the first time in 5 years, next month's finances would be stable. For the first time since Elena passed, I could afford to mend my entry light, purchase quality food, maybe even go on a trip. I collected the financial records, the loan papers, all the proof of my kindness. Then I paced to my hearth, ignited a stick, and watched 5 years of sacrifice turn to soot. The heat felt pleasing on my skin, warmer than I had felt in seasons. My device pulsed with a message, likely Leo wishing to apologize or Serena needing funds for something vital like fresh cushions. I did not view it. Instead, I served myself a drink of the quality liquor, the container I had been keeping for a unique event that never arrived. Tonight felt unique enough. I lifted my drink to the vacant space, to Eleanor's image on the shelf, to the individual I formerly was and the individual I was becoming. Happy holiday to me, I remarked, and felt it. Part 5. Serena's Provocation. The following morning arrived bright and clear, winter light, flowing through my kitchen panes as I finished my second cup of beverage. For the first time in seasons, I was not gauging how much wealth would vanish from my fund in 3 days. The independence felt better than the premium bean I had eventually permitted myself to purchase. My device rang exactly at 10:47 a.m. Serena's name flashed on the monitor like a hazard sign. Markus, her. Volume carried that recognized tone of barely hidden haste. I require you to collect my parents from the regional terminal. Their journey from Portland arrives at 2 o'clock. I place down my container gently, watching the vapor rise toward the top. Serena, did you disregard our talk yesterday? See, whatever that was regarding, we must concentrate on sensible things now. My parents require transit, and you are the only one with free hours during the day. The nerve was incredible. Less than a day after informing me I was not worthy of sharing the holiday meal with her relatives, she anticipated me to act as their private driver. And you are requesting me because that is what kin does, Markus. They assist one another. Her volume grew sharp with annoyance. Besides, let us be truthful here. You are not my opponent. You are too feeble to be my opponent, so just enter your vehicle and collect them. There it was, the final slight hidden in a mandate. What carrier? I inquired softly. Sky Air Journey 447. They will be at the bag area, Belt 3, and Markus. They are anticipating someone who can manage their bags correctly. Do not shame us. I could perceive her fingernails hitting something solid. Likely her stone surface, the one I had funded when she concluded plastic was not right for her social events. Naturally, I remarked, I will handle everything. Fine, and put on something, perhaps that azure garment you utilized for Leo's ceremony. They noticed details like that. The connection broke. She had not even voiced appreciation. I leaned back in my seat, observing my device's dark monitor. 2 o'clock 37 Bagaria Belt 3 by my basin. 10:52 a.m. Ample hours. I served myself another cup of beverage, added more sweetener, and viewed yesterday's journal to the puzzle I had not finished. Seven across postbury 12 The solution would arrive for me eventually. Part 6. The Terminal Snare. At 2:15 p.m. I was relaxing into my favorite seat with a fresh cup of tea and the local Journal S Weekend version. The puzzle from yesterday sat finished on my table. Postponed reward had been postponement. My device pulsed against the timber skin. Serena's name again. I let it ring. The winter light angled through my parlor panes, heating the area where I had spent so many solitary nights gauging the expense of my kindness. Today, the quiet felt altered. Merited intentional. 2:47 p.m. The device pulsed again. This time, I could view the snippet of her text. Father, where are you? My parents are. I placed the device face down and returned to the athletic pages. The local team had failed again. Some things never altered. By 3:30, my device had pulsed 6 times. I had finished the journal, prepared a second pot of tea, and started tidying the storage drawer in my culinary table. Incredible what you could achieve when you were not hurrying around assisting individuals who viewed you as their private servant. The 7th ring arrived at 3:45. Instead of Serena's name, I saw hidden digits. Likely, her parents used someone's device at the terminal. I let that one ring, too. Outside, the resident was placing holiday lights on his porch. His offspring sprinting around the space with the wild vigor that only winter afternoons could provide. Typical households doing typical things. No one was stuck anywhere, waiting for someone who would never arrive. 4:15 p.m. My device began ringing and did not halt. Serena, then the hidden digits, then Serena again. The pulsing became steady, like a frustrated insect against a pane. I paced to my kitchen and removed my home line from the partition. Then I deactivated my cellular device entirely. Flawless quiet. I prepared myself a toasted dairy sandwich and warmed a container of vegetable broth. Simple food I had not permitted myself in months because every food cent had gone toward surviving while funding their status. The dairy melted perfectly golden. The broth steamed in my favorite container. Outside, the winter light was already starting to fade, throwing long, dark areas across my space. Somewhere across the city, 3 individuals were likely standing in a terminal garage, bickering regarding vehicle fees and wondering how their private servant had the nerve to leave them. The thought made my broth taste even superior. By 5 p.m., I had consumed food, filled my appliance, and was thinking about what film to view. It had been seasons since I had an entire night to myself without fretting about crisis calls for wealth or sudden requests. I was reaching for the controller when someone began hitting my front entrance. Not tapping, hitting. The kind of forceful striking that shook the structure and signaled total rage. I placed down my tea and paced gently toward the noise, already recognizing exactly who I would discover on the other side. The hitting grew stronger as I reached the entrance, each strike more aggressive than the previous. Through the view hole, I could see 3 people gathered on my small porch, like predators surrounding a target. I opened the entrance to find Arthur Sterling's crimson face inches from mine. "What the devil is wrong with you?" he yelled, shoving past me into my parlor without an invite. We waited at that terminal for over 3 hours. Evelyn followed him, her usually tidy hair messy, her mouth tightened into a line of total hate. "This is entirely shameful conduct from someone your period, Markus. Absolutely crude." Serena came last, her branded coat messy, her paint smeared. "You shall Maduas, do you have any concept what you have executed? My parents were forced to pay a $40 transit because you decided to get out of my residence." My volume sliced through their group of anger like a razor through fabric. They halted mid-shout, stunned by the metal in my volume. "Pardon me," Arthur's face turned from crimson to violet. "You do not get to make orders here, friend. Not after what you did today." "This is my residence," I stated softly, not shifting from my spot by the entrance, "and I want you gone now." Evelyn moved forward, her volume flowing with the kind of pride she had perfected over decades of viewing individuals like me as lesser. "Markus, you clearly do not grasp the scale of your error. My spouse has ties throughout this town. Firm ties, social ties. You cannot treat individuals like us this way and anticipate this was a study for you." I cut in, meeting her look steadily. "A study regarding your extreme conceit and your bad handling of individuals you view below you." Serena's mouth opened. "A study? Who do you assume you are to instruct anyone anything? You are a nobody. I am someone who eventually halted being your private fund and vehicle service." I moved away and held the entrance open wider. "The study is finished. You can depart." Arthur pointed a finger toward my torso, but did not quite risk hitting me. "You have no concept who you are bothering, old man. I have been in this town longer than you have been living here. I know individuals, vital individuals, individuals who can make your life very, very hard. Is that a threat, Mr. Sterling? It is a vow." His volume sank to a dark murmur. "You think leaving aged individuals at a terminal is just something you can execute without results? You are about to learn exactly how incorrect you are. Evlanoded na stone. Truly, deeds have results, Markus, and yours will be quite open." Serena held her father's limb. "Dad, let us just depart. This sad old man is not worth our hours." They walked out of my dwelling like a ruined group, but Arthur turned back at the edge. "You will regret this," he stated. "I guarantee it." I shut the entrance behind them and moved the lock with a pleasing noise. Through the pain, I viewed them enter their vehicle, still bickering among themselves as they steered away into the winter gloom. The residence felt cleaner with them gone, as if their presence had left a mark that was only now vanishing, but their final syllables echoed in the sudden quiet. "Open results, vital individuals, ties." I paced back to my parlor and took my tea, still warm in its container. For the first time in this whole situation, I felt something that might have been worry, but it was suppressed by something much more powerful. Expectation. 3 days later, I was having my morning beverage and viewing the local journal, when I saw my own countenance looking back at me from the 3rd page. The title stated, "Local entrepreneur deserts aged pear at terminal during holiday gale." My palms went still around the beverage container. There I was in ink and paper, an old image from my firm's page, likely 5 years out of date. Below it, a narrative that made my blood turn icy and my anger burn in equal amount. Arthur and Evelyn Sterling, visiting their offspring for the holiday, were left stuck at the regional terminal for over 4 hours Sunday when relative Markus Vane failed to show for a planned collection. The pair, both in their late 50s, waited in cold levels as a gale alert was released for the area. Gale alert. It had been 52 and bright. "We could not trust someone would just desert us like that," remarked Arthur Sterling, a former finance head. "We called many times, but Mr. Vane never took his device. We were forced to take a pricey transit in risky weather states. Our period, this kind of handling is not just thoughtless, it is risky." The piece continued, with phrases regarding my trend of strange conduct and worries regarding my mental health. Arthur had framed himself and Evelyn as trapped victims of a mean old man who had suddenly broke without cause. No mention of the holiday meal, denial, no setting regarding Serena's orders or their years of money use. Just me, the antagonist who deserted poor aged visitors during a storm that lived only in Arthur's head. I placed down my beverage and viewed the piece again slowly, then a third time. The name on the line belonged to Victoria Thorne, lifestyle journalist. I did not recognize the name, but I recognized the plan. Arthur had called in favors, used his finance ties to get this narrative set exactly where it would do extreme harm to my name. Clever, very clever. For the initial time since this whole situation started, I felt a slight respect for my rivals. They were not just spoiled heirs having fits. They were tactical, calculating. They grasped that in a small town like this, name was everything. One well-set journal piece could ruin decades of solid effort. They signaled total conflict. I folded the journal gently and set it away, my mind already moving into the logical design mode that had established my firm from nothing. This was not regarding terminal collections anymore. This was not regarding holiday meals or loan installments. This was regarding succeeding. I retrieved my computer and began entering names into fine tools. Arthur Sterling, Evelyn Sterling, Serena Vane, their social data, their ties, their ways, their flaws, everything they had foolishly made open over the seasons. If they wished to engage in strategy, I would show them what a true planner looked like. I looked at my wall chart. December 18th, 7 days until the holiday. 7 days to design something they would never disregard. I spent the next 3 days living in an altered world. Not the world where I was Markus Vane, the tired old man who let his relatives step all over him. This was the world where I was Markus Vane, firm owner, tactical mind, someone who had established something from nothing and was not about to let a group of greedy people ruin what I had worked 40 years to build. My computer became the center. Social data filled my screen like cards in a high-value match. Arthur Sterling, former first bankhead, part of the town club, lead of the area business group, a man who had spent his career in spots of trust and power. A man with much to forfeit. Evelyn's social page showed a flawless image of high living, help meals, beverage events, trip images from the lake marked with lucky life. Every entry carefully chosen to show success and class. Remarks from peers praising her fine style and moving lifestyle. All established on other people's wealth, including mine. Serena's timeline told the true narrative. Entries regarding our lovely residence with images of the kitchen I had funded. Signs at pricey food spots during the months when I had paid their utility bills. A status entry from last week. So thrilled for holiday meal with kin. Cannot wait to display our hosting talent, our residence, our success. The ego was incredible. But it was Leo's professional page that provided me the last part one required. His recent activity displayed a new link. Victoria Thorne, local journal. The identical Victoria Thorne who had written the hit piece about me. I moved back in my chair, observing the proof displayed across my monitor. These individuals had made 3 major errors. Initial, they had underestimated me entirely. Second, they had gone open with their strike, which signified I could go open with my reply. Third, they had recorded their entire lucky lifestyle on the web, creating a flawless list of falseness. I viewed Victoria Thorne's page. 43 years old, writing, degree from the state, 15 years at area, papers. No prior link to finance, which signified Arthur had connected directly, likely through someone he recognized from his firm group. A 5-minute search through area firm lists confirmed my thought. 3 shared links between Arthur and Victoria's superior. The narrative had not just appeared. It had been set carefully and on purpose. Bazike foi o friggin' pudding. Not a reply to their social strike, something much superior. A record, 5 years of money support shown with bank files, bills, and ended checks. The initial gift for their residence, $47,000 from my home debt. The culinary update, when Serena concluded stone surfaces were vital. $18,000 from my credit card, 60 monthly loan, gifts of $2,800 each, $168,000 and more, a part of $1 million. More than I had utilized on myself in the last 10 years. My device pulsed with a text from digits I did not recognize, likely Serena trying a fresh path. I moved past it and kept acting. By night, I had everything set in a folder thick enough to stop a horse. Bank files, bills, images saved from their social pages. Displaying gifts I had funded, a printed copy of the journal piece with my hand marks in the edges recording each lie and twist. I looked at my wall chart. December 24th was marked in crimson. Not because it was the holiday, but because it was the ideal day for equity. According to Serena's social entries, they were having holiday meal for 12 individuals. Kin, peers, neighbors, parts of their social group, the kind of individuals who view the local journal and make views based on what they witness there. The kind of individuals who merit recognizing the truth. I shut my computer and paced to my kitchen where I had left my quality lens. The one I had purchased years ago to record work sites for my firm. Time to put it to work recording something else entirely. Tomorrow was the holiday eve. Tomorrow, Arthur Sterling and his relatives were going to learn what occurred when you signaled conflict on someone who truly recognized how to battle. Holiday eve morning arrived dark and chilly, the kind of winter day that made you thankful for warm dwellings and kin meetings. Too bad I would not be welcome at either, but I had other designs. I set out my proof like a legal person preparing for a case, bank files set by year. Each monthly gift marked in yellow. Bills set by date showing the trend of my support for their status. Images printed from their social pages. Serena's fresh stones, their trip images, the pricey holiday items currently styling the residence I had assisted them to keep. All of it copied 12 times, one for each meal visitor. The journal piece went on top of each pile, my crimson pen marks clear in the edges. Lie written next to Arthur's phrases regarding risky weather, false, beside the claim regarding my strange conduct, lost context, marked where they had failed to mention 5 years of money support. I dressed carefully in my best attire, the dark one I had used for Eleanor's service. Tidy and ready for another kind of end. Today I was saying goodbye to the man who had been a carpet for his relatives. Tonight I would be someone who ordered respect. At 6:30 p.m., I filled my case with the proof sets and steered to the neighborhood. Their residence shone with cozy light, vehicles filling the path and lining the path. Through the front panes, I could view people moving around the eating room, Serena acting as host in the residence my wealth had assisted them to purchase. I stopped across the path and viewed my watch. 6:45, ideal timing. Late enough that everyone would be seated for the meal. Early enough that they still be on the primary dish, no simple exit for anyone. The front entrance was not locked. Naturally, it was not. Serena loved to display how safe their area was, how they did not require to fret about safety like individuals in tougher spots. I entered quietly, the warm air hitting my skin along with the noises of mirth and talk from the eating room. And then Evelyn remarked, "But dear, that is not how we execute things in our kin," someone was stating, followed by more mirth. Our kin after everything they had done to leave me out of it. I paced into the eating room, holding my case, 12 countenances turning toward me with looks ranging from shock to fear. Serena stopped with her drink, glass halfway to her mouth. Leo's face turned pale. Arthur and Evelyn looked like they had viewed a spirit. "Good night, everyone," I remarked calmly, placing my case on their stone stand. "I hope you do not mind me joining your holiday event." Serena found her volume first. "Markus, this is entirely wrong. You require to depart now." "Truly," I remarked, opening my case and pulling out the initial pile of files. "I believe your visitors merit recognizing who truly funded this meal, this residence, and this status you have been displaying." A woman I did not recognize, likely one of Evelyn's help peers, leaned forward with interest. "What is he talking about, Serena?" "He is having some kind of event," Serena stated fast. "Leo, call someone." But I was already moving around the board, placing a set of files in front of each visitor. "Here are the bank files," I remarked in a talk. 5 years of money support, $168,000 in loan gifts alone, plus the initial gift. Updates, furniture, tools, everything you witness around you. The room went quiet except for the noise of files as 12 individuals began viewing the proof. I viewed their countenances shift as they took in the figures, the dates, the clear proof of my kindness and their lie. "This is," one man began, then halted, staring at a bank file. "Extreme," finished the woman across from him. "Serena, why did you not tell us any of this?" Serena's flawless look was breaking. "It is more complex than it looks. Markus offered to assist us. We never requested." "Truly," I cut in and pulling out the journal piece. "Let us talk about what you did request and what you told the news about me." The level in the room seemed to fall 10. I set copies of the journal piece on the board. Watching as the meal, visitors recognized my image from the bad narrative that had appeared 3 days prior. "Now," I remarked, my volume carrying clearly through the sudden quiet, etc. Arthur's face had gone from crimson to pale. Evelyn sat still in her seat, her drink glass mist in her hand. Mr. Sterling here utilized his finance ties to set this narrative. I continued, hitting the journal. "Observe how I am shown as shaky and risky, deserting poor-aged individuals in cold weather." A silver-haired man in a pricey knit looked up from the piece. "Arthur, what is this regarding?" The weather was 52 and bright, I remarked before Arthur could reply, and they were not stuck visitors. They were Serena's parents coming to the holiday meal had been kept from joining because I was not good enough for their group. Evelyn eventually found her volume. "That is not we never stated. You never stated what, Evelyn?" I retrieved my device where I had saved several of Serena's social entries, that I was to comment for your parents. That my ethnic food and labor talk would shame you in front of your schooled peers. The woman I had found as one of Evelyn's help peers shifted. "Evelyn, surely you did not." He's changing everything. "Arthur Yele, but powered. This man has major mental health problems. The weight of age, money issues." "Mon issue?" I almost laughed. "Mr. Sterling, I have been supporting your offspring and his wife to the tune of nearly $3,000 a month for 5 years. The only money issues here are the ones you are about to have." I turned to speak to the whole board. "These individuals have taken $200,000 from me while calling me names behind my back. They have turned my son against me, kept me from kin events, and when I eventually rose for myself, they tried to ruin my name in the journal." Leo spoke for the initial time, his volume barely a murmur. "Father, I did not recognize the journal." "Your spouse recognized," I remarked softly, "and her parents made it. They turned me into an antagonist for refusing to be their private fund and driver." The social state in the room was shifting like earth plates. I could view it in the visitors' countenances, the slow realization that everything they had been told about tonight's kind hosts was established on lies. "TC wrong," remarked Jules, staring at the bank files. "Arthur, how could you let your offspring take gain of this man's kindness, then strike him openly when he halted it?" Arthur's carefully kept look was failing. "You do not grasp the whole state." I grasped perfectly. The woman cut in. "This man has been supporting your kin money-wise, while you treated him like domestic help. And when he eventually said no, you tried to ruin his name. Evelyn's volume arrived tight. He deserted us at the terminal. After you told me I was not welcome at holiday meal because my presence would be wrong for your parents, I remarked calmly. After 5 years of paying their costs, while you view me as lesser for my heritage and school level, the quiet was massive. 12 individuals staring at Arthur, and Evelyn with looks ranging from hate to shame for having been with them. Serena made one last fast try to lead the story. Everyone, please. This is a kin topic that has gone too far. No, I remarked firmly. This halted being a kin topic when you made it open. When you utilized the journal to strike my character, when you concluded my name was fine loss for your ego. I looked around the board at countenances I did not recognize, but who now recognized exactly who I was. I wanted you all to recognize the truth before you read about Markus Vane in the paper again, because you will read about me again, but next time it will be the true narrative. I shut my case and fixed my tie. Have the rest of your meal. It is the last one I will be paying for. As I paced toward the entrance, I could hear the break starting behind me. Volumes raised in blame, questions asking for replies, the noise of a carefully built social look falling apart. It was the most lovely holiday music I had ever heard. The letter arrived on a Tuesday morning in March, sent by marked mail, with the weight of legal results behind every word. I signed for it at my front entrance, noting how the spring air smelled of fresh growth and chance instead of the winter gloom that had marked those dark holiday days. Alert of failure, the paper stated, final ask for gift. Within 3 months of misloaned gifts had reached Leo and Serena like a wave of truth. $8,400 in debt, 14 days to make the fund current, or face legal loss on the residence I had assisted them to purchase. I set the letter away and returned to my beverage, viewing it the way you would view news about far weather. Interesting, but not your issue anymore. My device had been ringing for weeks with more desperate calls. Serena's digits blocked after the initial wild recording. Arthur and Evelyn, whose social spot in the town had vanished like morning air after their holiday meal shame. Even Leo, whose calls I had been ignoring out of a mix of anger and interest regarding how long it would take him to lose his ego. The reply, evidently, was 97 days. He tapped on my entrance that Thursday night, no longer the sure man who had left me out of holiday meal, but someone who looked like he had aged a decade in 3 months. Dark marks under his eyes, his pricey attire messy, the smell of worry sticking to him like cheap scent. "Father," he remarked when I opened the entrance, "we require to talk." I moved away to let him in, noting how he looked around my residence like he was witnessing it for the first time. The fresh furniture I had purchased with my initial loan-free pay. The fresh paint on partitions that had not been updated in 8 years, because every extra cent had gone to his status. The men's I had eventually been able to manage now that I was not funding someone else's dream. "Fine spot," he remarked softly. It is what occurs when you utilize wealth on yourself instead of individuals who do not value it. I answered, relaxing into my fresh seat. "Beverage?" He moved his head, sitting on the edge of my couch like he was scared to get cozy. "Father, I require you to recognize how sorry I am regarding everything. Holiday meal, the journal piece, the way Serena, the way we treated you, proceed. I did not recognize about Arthur setting that narrative. I promise I did not. When I discovered, he moved his hands through his hair. God, Father. The things they stated about you in the dark, the way they talked about our kin, about Elena's memory." My face tightened at the mention of Elena, but I kept my volume even. "And what precisely did they state about your mother?" "That she recognized her spot better than you recognized yours. That she grasped limits he could not meet my eyes. I should have defended you. I should have rose to them years ago." "Yes," I remarked simply. "You should have." We sat in quiet for a long bit, the weight of 5 years of errors filling the area between us. Outside, I could hear my neighbor cutting his grass. The normal noises of a normal Thursday night in a normal area where sons did not leave their fathers out of holiday meal. The residence is in legal loss, Leo remarked eventually. I recognize. We cannot make the gifts without. He halted, seeming to realize how that sounded. Without my assistance, I finished. Without the wealth I was sending every month, while you let your spouse's relatives treat me like trash. I recognize how it looks. Leo, I moved forward, making sure he was looking at me. Do you recognize how much wealth I sent you over 5 years? He nodded sadly. Serena tallied it after the holiday. 5 years, when I could have been building a bond with you instead of funding your spouse's dream life. I recognize that now. He looked up at me with something that might have been hope, but maybe we could start again. Maybe there is a path to. Are you asking me to restart the loan gifts? The hope died in his eyes. We are going to lose everything, Father. The residence, Serena's respect for me, her parents' nod. I do not recognize what I will do. You will solve it, I remarked not unkindly. The identical way I solved how to live without a son who valued me. The identical way I learned to spend the holiday alone while you celebrated with individuals who thought I was below them. He began to weep, then softly like a man who had used all other paths. I lost you, did I? I picked them over you, and now I have lost you forever. I viewed him for a long bit. This man I had raised and loved and gave for who had let his spouse. Relatives tell him that his father was not good enough for their group. Leo, I remarked eventually, you did not lose me. You gave me away. There is a gap. He cleaned his eyes with the back of his hand. Is there any risk? Any path you could excuse me? I excused you months ago, I remarked, and meant it. But excuse does not mean going back to the way things were. It does not mean acting like this did not occur, or that I am going to restart paying for a status that arrived with the state, that I would be thankful for bits of your focus. Then what does it mean? I rose and paced to my shelf where Eleanor's image sat next to a fresh image. Me with Clara and her kin at spring meal, the initial holiday I had spent with individuals who truly wanted me there. It signifies that if you want a bond with me, you will have to build it from zero. It signifies showing me respect instead of asking, I merit it. It signifies making choices based on what is right, not what is easy. I turned back to him. And it signifies that the next time someone, your spouse, her parents, anyone tries to leave me out of kin events, you will recall who truly acts like kin. He nodded slowly, grasping perhaps for the first time that respect was not something you could take for certain. The residence, he asked softly, is not my issue anymore. I sat back down, feeling lighter than I had in seasons. You are an adult man. Leo, solve it like adult men do. Find a task that pays enough to cover your costs. Sell the residence and purchase something you can afford. Stop living above your means and anticipating other individuals to fund your choices. He rose slowly, his back straight for the initial time since he had arrived. You are right about all of it. I recognize. He paced to the entrance, then turned back. Father, for what it is worth, seeing you rise for yourself at holiday meal. I was proud of you and shamed and angry, but proud, too. Fine, I remarked. Maybe there is hope for you yet. After he departed, I served myself a drink of the quality liquor and stepped onto my back porch. Spring was coming to the town, the trees beginning to grow, the air heating with vow. In 4 months, I would be 63. Elena had been gone for 8 years. I had wasted 5 of those years being a carpet for individuals who did not value sacrifice. I was not planning to waste any more. My device pulsed with a text from Clara. Meal Sunday, the kids want to show you their schoolwork. I smiled and typed back. Would not miss it. True kin, it turned out, was something you discovered with individuals who truly wanted you there. Everything else was just pricey drama, and I was done purchasing entry to shows where I was not invited on area. The liquor tasted like independence, and the future looked exactly as bright as I was willing to make it. If you like this narrative, please like this clip, follow the channel, and share your thoughts of this narrative in the remarks. To hear the following narrative, click on the area on the left. Appreciation for viewing.